Hi, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and our project today is going to be this Phlueger Ohio 1978. I picked this reel up from a friend of mine, Robert. He just recently inherited it from his dad, and we're going to see if we can get it up and running good. It's a little bit stiff, mostly corroded, but overall I think it'll make a good reel. So the first thing we're going to do is take this handle off. Okay, now we're going to remove the star washer, which is our drag. Next we're going to remove these 6 screws. Okay, those 4 are the same size. We're going to find out here in a second if the bottom 2 are as well. And they are. With those off, the side cover should come off. There we go. We're going to be taking this apart and cleaning it. Take out the spool. I'm going to be changing all this line off of here. I'm going to take the part that isn't staying on there very good and go ahead and clip it off. Get it out of the way. There we go. Put the spool over to the side. Okay. I don't really see a reason for taking all these off, except to clean it, and we really would like to get all this corrosion. It's what it is. It's old dried grease, and I'm going to see if we can clean it without taking this apart, because you always take a chance on breaking these screws. So I'm going to see if we can do it without doing that, and see if we can get that cleaned up. Back over to this side cover, and out falls these 2 parts. This is your collar that goes on, and this is our washer that goes above that. Okay, now we know where they go. That one's actually a lock washer. I've never seen a lock washer in a reel before. So this is very dry in here. There's no grease whatsoever in it. It's like they took it apart, cleaned all the grease out, and put it back together without it. Alright. It does have an anti-reverse, which means it's going to have an anti-reverse dog and spring in here. So we're going to have to be very careful as we go to take this apart. We're going to remove these 4 screws from the other side, and in which case this part's going to come out, and along with that will come the drag assembly. All of this will all come out of that side. That will leave the yoke in place, which is operated by this lever, and doesn't have a normal style yoke, but it does have a pinion gear. So we're going to take it apart. I'm going to place it in my hand. This is, oh, we got a broken screw. I didn't know that. So we're only going to remove 3 of the 4 screws because there's one already broken here. Hopefully these are going to come out. Here's one. That's 3, and that's a shorter screw. So in the top end up here, see how this steps down right here? These are 2 longer screws than these 2 down here. So we're going to take, everything's removed because that one's broken. We're going to see if we can get it out of there and maybe get a replacement for it. We'll see. Okay, at this point I should be able to push down here, and all of this should drop down that screw is holding it up. There we go. Okay, I'm still trying to find the anti-reverse and anti-reverse spring. So far, nothing. There's that gear. Okay, that fits on there like that. All right, there appears to be no spring there. So let's go ahead, see if we can remove this ring. It doesn't want to remove, so we're going to leave it in place. I'm not going to use force on it, not too much anyway. I don't mind trying a little bit, but if you try a little bit and it didn't want to come off, then it's time to leave it alone, especially if there's no really good reason to take it off. Okay, now over to the drag assembly. This is a fairly conventional looking drag assembly. There's our anti-reverse right there, and there's the spring for it. Okay, it's all built into this one assembly. All right, so this gear will slide up directly up off of there. All your drag washers are going to be inside there. And this appears to be screwed on with a screw. There it comes. Okay, and let's get a good look at how that spring assembly is installed on there, because odds are pretty good this is going to pop off of here while we're scrubbing it clean, and we're going to need to put it back. So we need to know how it goes, and all of this needs to be cleaned up. And we're going to try to remove this screw. There we go. And I'm hoping that the screws from a pin will fit, because I happen to have some. So I'm hoping we'll be able to replace that busted off screw right there with the one from a pin. All right, we're gonna go, well, nope, we gotta finish taking this apart. Let's take our drag assembly apart. Okay, first thing, we're gonna have an eared washer, and then we've got a copper washer. Really? And another keyed copper washer, and then a drag washer. Okay, what I'm seeing here is that this is not assembled correctly. Someone's been in here in the past, and what there should be a drag washer followed up by a key washer, followed up by a drag washer, followed up by an eared washer, followed up by a keyed washer. That's what should be there. And that's not what we have. So someone has been here before. Probably what happened is the drag washer wore out, and was tossed. I have one from a pin 904 that may fit that. I'll have to take it out and take a look. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and scrub these parts up, and we're going to go silent while we do that, and go to high speed forward, and when we come back from that, everything should be clean and ready to assemble. Okay, when you get this clean, go back and look at it and make sure that there's absolutely nothing in these teeth and that the teeth are nice and sharp. They should all look identical. Make sure that there's nothing in there, because anything inside those teeth on that gear will cause it to go a chip, 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 chip as you're going wind it. So make sure you've done that. And this gear is the most critical for that. It's so small that it will have a tendency to catch everything. And normally just if the grease hasn't solidified and turned into a waxy glob, it usually is okay. And it'll just, a little WD-40 and a scrub brush, and it'll scrub right out. If, however, it's old and caked in like it is with a lot of vintage reels, you really need to get down there and pick every bit of that solidified grease out of the grooves. Okay, we're back trying to put parts back together. The closest I could come to finding a replacement for this broken spring is this one that I took out of a pen reel, and it's too long, but we're going to see if it actually interferes with anything. If it doesn't interfere, maybe we can go ahead and use it. It should be that length right there, and I don't know if it's going to interfere. We'll see once we get it to that point. We may have to just leave the screw out. It was that way for many years, and maybe it will have to stay that way if we can't find a screw for it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is reassemble our main gear assembly with its drag. We're going to lubricate this shaft. Take the screw out. Slide this gear down. That gear is for the anti-reverse, and you're going to have to move the shaft over for it to slip onto. Okay, just move it over, move the little cog over. There we go. Now it's working. Okay. I had a drag washer out of a Pen 940 that is very, very close, and I think it will work for us. We're going to go ahead and put it in. Slide it down. That in place, we're going to install a keyed washer. See the keyed shape here? Okay, that fits over here. Next comes a drag washer. You need to put some grease, some drag grease on the drag washer. Slide it down. Then goes the eared washer. See the two little ears off the sides? Okay. They go down on there. And they fit into the little notches that are on the main gear. There we go. Then comes your next drag washer. Followed up by your last keyed washer. Okay, with that down on there, everything should fit. Finally, your screw goes back on to hold that assembly in place. Now, it should rotate just fine. But yet you should still be able to rotate this gear. Now we're going back to reassemble this into here. And I believe that we took this out afterwards. So let's go ahead and put it in next. This is your pinion gear. Go ahead and grease it. And on top of it goes this keeper assembly. It's keyed. There we go. And I'm pretty sure that that piece right there is what engages and disengages your spool. Alright? So, first the gear goes in underneath of your yoke or jack plate. Next goes this one over the top of it, and it fits down to where it latches in. Now, it's holding up out of the way right now, so what you need to do is go ahead and lower it down like that. There. By changing over the lever, that closes it down and it'll hold it in place. Hopefully now we'll be able to put this in, but sometimes with these you can't put it in if that piece is in. So let's find out. Nope, went right on down in there. Good. Okay, time for the screws. Not missing any parts. The short screws go up at the top. We only have one of those. Let's get it lined up. Put it in. Don't tighten it all the way, just enough to snug it. Okay, next goes the two long screws. Now you can tighten it down. And this screw, I don't know if it's going to affect anything or not being longer. Let's try it out. I'm afraid that it's going to impact on the spool. So let's clean it up and find out. Stands awful proud. And there. I'm afraid it's going to hit the spool. Let's find out. Doesn't seem to be. It's not hitting the spool. There's plenty of clearance. Okay. I guess we'll leave the long screw in. Okay, let's take a look. Let's lubricate everything. Okay, I forgot to put grease on that gear down in there, so we're going to have to grease that gear now. And put it down in there, pack it down in, rotate it a little bit. It doesn't want to rotate without the drag engaged. So let's go ahead and engage the drag. Put the collar on, put the washer on, and then install your drag. Now this has got two sides. You've got this side, which has that inset, which is for here. So that's the side that goes in towards in towards the spool. Okay, tighten it down. Now it's rotating the gear, and we can put some more grease in. If you're having trouble holding it, you can go ahead and slip the handle on to tighten it down. Okay, we're ready to install. We need to put, you know, I prefer to use oil on these because oil tends to rotate better, smoother. It's not as durable as grease, but if you're going to go back in periodically and lubricate, then it's not a problem. So I like to put oil on those. Let's add just a smidgen of grease onto these screws. They were kind of tough coming out, so let's give them a little assistance in the future. Okay, wipe off the excess grease, clean this thing up a little bit. Okay. Alright, now we're going to reinstall the handle. Now if you look at this nut, you will see in the past people have been using pliers and anything else that they had to get into this. So I recommend getting yourself one of these tools, especially for pin nuts. It's got this odd shaped screw. It really helps. This is just a simple hex head though, so you could get a socket or a wrench and do it. But please try not to use pliers. Okay. What's making noise? Let's see if it's that screw. Yes. So that screw is too long. I'm not going to be able to leave it in there. Once everything was tightened down. I will see if I can shorten the screw without tearing up the threads on it. If I can, I'll put it back in. It was almost exactly the right length. There you have it. We have a Pflueger Ohio 1978 reel with really good drag now. Easily adjusted, and all it really needs to be perfectly functional is new line, and if I can get a screw for it, we'll be in business. All right, Robert, there you have it. Your Pflueger Ohio 1978 model is complete. Got new line on it. You're loaded down with just about a whole daggone roll of Berkeley trilene 15-pound test, and this thing's ready to go fishing. Oh, I also got the screw put in. It works fine. I had to shorten it down a little bit, but it works. And that's another successful reel by Young Martin's Reels. If you liked what you saw in this video, please hit the like button. If you disliked what you saw, by all means, hit the dislike button. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you can see the more reels. Thank you very much.